A brief touch, lasting no more than a couple of seconds, can release enough oxytocin in a woman's brain to create a sense of emotional closeness that lingers for hours. That's not poetic exaggeration, it's biology. Yet most men have no clue which types of touch spark that reaction and which ones instantly push a woman away without a word. Today, you're going to learn 7 specific touches that can completely shift how she feels about you. And number 5, that one borders on unfair. Here's something rarely said out loud. A mature woman doesn't fall for words anymore. She's heard every compliment. She's read every charming message. She's sat across candlelit tables where a man tried too hard to impress her with perfectly chosen lines. Words stopped moving her a long time ago. What actually reaches her now? What softens the walls she spent years building? Something far deeper. Touch, but not random, careless, or rehearsed touch. Not the awkward kind borrowed from movies. These are intentional, subtle, psychologically powerful gestures. Touches that communicate safety, confidence, warmth, and desire without saying a single word. In one fascinating study, psychologist Dashe Keltner asked strangers to express emotions using only brief touches on the forearm. No talking, no facial cues. The result? People correctly identified feelings like love, gratitude, and sympathy up to 78% of the time. 78%, that's more effective than most conversations. So, if you've ever wondered why some men effortlessly create emotional connection while others say all the right things and still get pushed into the friend zone, this is why. It's not about what's said, it's about what's felt. And a mature woman responds to this on a completely different level. Before we begin, a quick warning. 2 of these touches may seem almost too simple. Don't dismiss them. Those are often the ones women describe as the most emotionally powerful. And the final one, the 7th, is so effective that therapists actually recommend it to couples on the verge of breaking apart. Let's start with the first, the slow, lower back guide. It may seem like basic courtesy, but there's much more happening beneath the surface. When you gently place your hand on the small of a woman's back, guiding her through a doorway or a crowded space, you're engaging one of the most nerve-rich areas of the body. That region is closely linked to emotional processing in the brain. A slow, steady, warm touch there bypasses logic and speaks directly to her nervous system. But here's where most men fail. Timing, pressure, and intention matter. A quick tap feels impersonal. A forceful push feels controlling, but a calm, confident placement of your hand with just enough pressure to communicate presence triggers what psychologists call a protective bonding response. Her body interprets it as safety. Her mind begins associating you with calm. For a mature woman, someone who has spent years being independent, carrying her own burdens, that subtle gesture communicates something powerful. She doesn't have to do everything alone in that moment. And that feeling can be more meaningful than grand romantic gestures. The second touch is the 2-handed handhold. Holding hands isn't special. Anyone can do that. But this is different. This is when you take her hand and then gently place your other hand over it, enclosing it fully. Both of your hands holding one of hers. This activates what's known as bilateral stimulation, balanced sensory input that the brain interprets as full emotional presence. Therapists even use similar techniques to help people process emotional stress. So when you do this, you're silently telling her, I'm here fully. For a woman who's experienced partners who were physically present but mentally absent, this contrast is striking. It feels rare, intentional, real, and that difference alone can make a lasting impression. The third touch is the forehead connection. Not a kiss, just gently resting your forehead against hers. Eyes naturally close. Breathing slows. The world fades out. It may seem simple, but emotionally, it carries immense weight. This type of closeness activates what relationship experts call bonding moments. Small interactions that deeply engage the human attachment system. It requires presence, stillness, vulnerability. You can't rush it or fake it. And for a woman who has built emotional defenses over time, this quiet closeness feels like a safe opening without pressure or expectation. A man who can sit in that silence comfortably communicates emotional depth without saying anything. The fourth touch is the back of the neck contact. This area is incredibly sensitive and vulnerable. It's not easily seen or protected, which makes it psychologically significant. When done gently and at the right moment, it creates a unique blend of trust and attraction, two emotions that rarely activate simultaneously. Her brain instinctively evaluates, is this safe? Does this feel right? If the answer is yes, the response is immediate. Her body reacts, her attention sharpens. Emotionally, something shifts, but timing is everything. This isn't a first meeting gesture. It comes after trust has already been built. Used correctly, it communicates confidence, awareness, and control without aggression. The fifth touch is the thumb stroke. This is where things become almost unfair. While holding her hand or resting your hand on her arm, you slowly move your thumb across her skin. Small, steady, rhythmic movements. You don't draw attention to it, you just do it naturally while talking. This activates specific nerve fibers that are directly linked to emotional bonding in the brain. It stimulates areas responsible for intimacy and connection. And because it's subtle, she may not consciously notice it, but her body does. To a woman who has experienced empty or forced affection, this feels different. It feels natural, effortless, and that perceived authenticity is what makes it powerful. The sixth touch is the silent pull. No words, no announcement. You simply draw her closer, placing your arm around her or gently guiding her toward you. This reflects what psychologists call proximity seeking, the natural instinct to reduce distance when emotional connection exists. For many mature women, closeness in past relationships often felt conditional, something earned rather than freely given. So when you pull her closer without a reason other than wanting her near, it rewrites that belief. It tells her she is wanted simply for being there, and that message lands deeply. Finally, the seventh touch, the long hold hug, not a quick embrace, not a casual half hug, a full, steady, chest-to-chest hug that lasts at least 20 seconds. That duration matters. Research shows that hugs lasting this long trigger significant oxytocin release while lowering stress hormones. Her body relaxes, her breathing slows, her nervous system shifts into a state where emotional openness becomes possible. This is why therapists recommend it for couples struggling to reconnect. For a mature woman, someone who has faced loss, disappointment, and silent struggles, this kind of embrace does something profound. It allows her to stop holding everything together, even if just for a moment. And that relief is incredibly powerful, because ultimately, the most meaningful touch isn't the one that impresses her. It's the one that allows her to feel safe enough to let go, because a mature woman won't wait silently. She gives signals, clear, consistent ones, if you know how to recognize them. Most men miss them completely, and that's why the next step matters, because if you can learn not only how to create attraction, but how to recognize when she's already feeling it, you gain a completely different level of understanding. Don't miss that moment, because when it happens, everything changes. Now you understand the 7 touches, each grounded in psychology, each rooted in real emotional experience. And the best part? None of them require money, status, or perfection. They require awareness, intention, presence. But knowing how to touch is only part of the equation.